Welcome, everybody. Welcome. How is everybody doing? I hope everyone is doing well. I am having a blast. And so, look, I have another amazing co-host, everyone. So grab your pen and paper. Look, I brought my favorite evening beverage. I saved it for you guys today because normally about this time, I done drunk. It's been gone, right? So grab your favorite evening beverage, your pen and paper, and come and have some fun with us. Today is going to be, I got another co-host and she's bringing some powerhouse gems. So you're going to need your pen and paper for that. Let's see. Oops, sorry. So with that being said, welcome to another episode of What's Next for Women podcast. In the podcast, we will talk about how we conquer our what ifs and I can'ts so we can go after our what's next. And everyone's like my phone is already dinging me. Well, what's next? Well, what's next is, you want to climb the corporate ladder, or you want to be an entrepreneur, but you just don't know where to start at. Or better yet, you're like me. I'm going to be honest. That was me. I was sitting at a corporate desk and I still sit there, but I had that breakdown where I didn't know what my what's next was. Does that you? Do you ever think about it? Did you ever think about, okay, I'm making everybody else happy but me. And they didn't even ask me how I felt until one day I just said, okay, enough. And I finally had to hone in on me and do some inner self work and find out what I like to do and how I'm going to do it. And so one thing that came to mind is me starting to empower women such as yourself to help you go after your what's next. But you don't want to hear my story, but I want you to understand I connect with you. I totally get where you're not sure of your what's next or don't know how to get to your what's next, or you're there, but you just need that to go that next step above. Well, we're here for you. I have created this tribe. I have brought in thousands of powerful women that has got the message, and we're here to support you. So not only do we do that here, but it's also, yes, as you see it in the feed, it is Win Wednesday. A win is where you set a goal and you've met the goal, or you set a goal, but you just don't know how to get there, but at least you've set the goal. Or better yet, you want to set a goal, but you don't even know where to start at. That is all those are recognizables. And I love to celebrate. So I would love to hear what your win is for the week. Drop it in the feed below. And then lastly, tonight's show is all sponsored by by Vision Made Magazine, the magazine that is here to inspire you to go after your what's next. There's something that was in my face. But inspire you to go after your what's next. And so without further ado, let me bring on my co-host. It is Dr. Destini Copp. Hello. Hello, Dr. Copp. How are you?
Hello, Pamela. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm super excited to be here with you.
Me too. I've been practicing. I already have my paper, my notes. So this is going to be fun. But let's go ahead and you start and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I'm going to take you back to when I was in my 9 to 5. So I was working in marketing because that's what my background is in. And I was working a lot of hours. At that point in time, I was over a marketing department. We had an $800 million annual revenue budget. We had, a team of people, but I was working a ton of hours. And at that point in time, I had 2 small children at home. And I'm like, this is not working for me. But this was way back when. This was a long time ago, just to kind of put it in perspective for you. So I started looking for something that I could do out of my house, and something that would be flexible for me, so that when my kids wanted, I need to go pick them up for a doctor's appointment or go have lunch with them at school, I would have the flexibility to do that. So the corporation was going through a restructuring at that time, and they were handing out severance packages. So I raised my hand and said, I want one of those. So, and I was lucky enough to get one. And that's when I started looking for something else. Now, this was back in 2004, 2005 timeframe when online learning and teaching online at the university level was just getting started. So when I was doing this back in the dark ages, people were asking me, you can actually take a college course online and students can come to your classroom and actually learn something? And I was like, yes, this is a real thing. Now, fast forward to where we are right now in 2021, everybody's familiar with online learning, and it's definitely a valid way to gain additional expertise and get the degrees and what have you. But I started out as an adjunct faculty member with this university and did that for many years. I did a bunch of different positions there, program director, assistant dean. My last position with them was an associate vice chancellor of academic affairs. And this was, years and years later. And I really started getting burnt out again. And I was like, what is next for me? And I know a lot of your audience, Pamela, is asking that question themselves. So I looked deep inside of me, and I knew I had always wanted to own my own business. Even when I was, in high school and college, that was always in the back of my mind. And I knew I wanted to do something online. And so I kind of married my skills. I took my knowledge of online courses and marketing, and that's when I started my business to help others take their business online and to scale and implement other products and services into their business, like online courses and memberships where they can teach what they know. And I know, all of us, right, have something inside of us that we can teach others. Whether you're in a corporate, HR job right now, there's a lot of things you could do with a position like that, or maybe you're in accounting or finance, and I don't want to go through them all here, but all of us have knowledge inside of us that we can help others. And that's kind of the, little short version. I could go into a lot more details, but I'll spare you all the details there.
But I'm glad you said that, because I'm glad you started there, because we need women. I hear so many women talking about, I don't even know where to start at. And so I love I'm glad you touched on, and I love that you talked about, we all have something inside of us. We all have the knowledge. So when you have that knowledge, how do you even find the knowledge? And because my phone is dinging. So that's what I was doing, trying to turn it down. But I already had someone saying, well, I don't even know my knowledge of my expertise. What do you say to that?
So, that's a good question, because even somebody like me, I kind of struggled with this, what should I hone in on, quite frankly, because when I looked at all of my skill sets and everything that I could do, quite frankly, I could have probably pivoted my business in, 5 or more different ways, because there's a lot of skills that I had, right? I was a university marketing professor, did a lot of work with students, like helping them find jobs and resume and all that kind of work. So I definitely could have kind of gone down that path. I would say one of my superpowers, if you would, is kind of productivity and time saving, because I could have done something down that path. So it is kind of difficult, kind of honing in on what exactly should I do. And what I generally kind of teach people and kind of say, this is something you want to consider is, teach what you know, like really get down to what is your main skill set. What do you know, almost more than anybody, right? And that's kind of where I came down to. Even though I had all of these other skills and I certainly could help people in those areas, I'd been in marketing for, by this time, over 25 years, quite frankly. I had been in the online course industry doing this in the dark ages before anybody had ever started that, right? So that's when I decided, I'm going to focus on this. These are where my superpowers are, and this is what I'm going to focus on. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't pivot, you can't add other things to your business as you grow, but you really have to put a stake in the ground and
Yeah.
say, this is where I'm going to start, because that action of putting that stake in the ground and moving forward will give you so much clarity in the future. Because really, clarity comes with action. And that's, that I truly believe.
Oh, I truly believe, because I honestly, when I started out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to help women to declutter their life. And I'm
Mhm.
good at, okay, let's unpack your life. Okay, but now I'm totally, I haven't pivoted, but I still am. Now I'm out here empowering women, but in a different means. And the where I'm doing it now, I never imagined I could say this now. And you're right. It's you go out here, you're doing, you take what you can do, and you take your knowledge and what you're good at right now. And then once you get the taste of it and making sure, okay, do I like what I'm doing? Then the gates open up. I have to say, in so many ways, the gates open up. But I want women to understand that we all have it. And I'm like Dr. Copp, we all have it inside of us, that we have the knowledge and we have that expertise. It's just how do you hone in on it? And I like that you said, take the knowledge that you have, your experience now, and use that and work with that. And I love the stake in the ground quote that you said, where you just at least start there, and then from there do a little bit, and then you'll see where you're going to branch off. But let me ask you this: before you left the corporate world twice,
Mhm.
did you have any regrets to it? And how did it make you feel?
So no regrets whatsoever. I'll just go ahead and put that out there. And I will say that when I left my corporate marketing job, where I was a director in the marketing organization for a 100 company, let's just say a Fortune 100 company, I was making a lot of money. This was back in my 20s. And when I went to teach at the university level, I took a huge pay cut. I'm going to say a huge, almost half pay cut. So it was a big deal. But no regrets whatsoever, because that time and that flexibility that I had with my kids as they were growing up, it was just, you just can't get that back. And eventually, right, I've been able to build up my salary and so on and so forth, and in my own business. But it was a huge pay cut in the beginning, and even with that, I would say absolutely no regrets whatsoever.
I'm glad to hear that. And I want women to understand, because I was in another group and we were talking about this, of course, that's what I do. And she was like, I want to leave. And I'm like, well, why don't you? And she goes, because, and I go, because of what? And she's like, just because. And I go, well, let's be honest. What's really holding you back is your doubt of yourself, not doubt of the product, not doubt of the service, but doubt of yourself. And with that, if you carry that doubt, I believe that the universe is also feeling the doubt, and you're blocking your blessings. So I want women to understand, when you create that negativity, you project it, then the universe feels that energy. So with that being said, so I suggested to her to start writing some positive affirmations, and knowing that what she's doing is, and she was 1,000,000% confident on her service and confident on her product, and it wasn't her. So I had her doing some positive affirmations, write them down, say them to herself. Then I said, you will see the pivot in yourself and feeling that positivity energy coming out, which then you can project, and then you'll be ready to go. And you'll have this, and I don't condone this, but if this is something you want to do, then you're ready to leave. You're ready to leave with confidence and no worry. I mean, do we face the fear? Of course we do. Do we face the doubt of, okay, did I make the right decision? Of course we do. We do it all, but also too, knowing that we're doing what we're doing and what we love to do, no matter what, we're out here still doing it. And so that was, I'm glad we're talking about it, because a lot, like I said, it was just ironic enough and funny enough, the post is still going, and I think like over 150 different comments has been said about, giving her encouragement and talking about, well, I'm facing the same type of situation as she's facing. And I want women to know, We do that, and then that stops us, and then guess what we face? The woulda, coulda, shoulda. So I totally believe in the positivity and the projection. So with that being said, I'm glad you talked about you know how you felt about leaving the corporate world. What prepared you though? What prepared you to leave corporate?
You know, I don't know that I was necessarily prepared, and I would say that the only thing I would say is I knew I was ready, right? I knew that it was time in my life that I needed to make this change.
Yes.
Not that you can't make a change in your 60s or your 70s or whatever, but for me, I felt like it was kind of now or never, or I'd be looking back on my life and say, why didn't I do this 10 years ago? And quite frankly, I was already saying that to myself because
Wow.
I wanted to start my own business when I was in my early 20s.
Right.
At that point in time, the tech out there and the opportunity out there in terms of being able to create a website using like a Squarespace type builder, or all the tech stuff that we have today that makes it so easy for somebody to get up and running in their own business wasn't there when I was in my 20s. And I think if it would have, it would have been easier for me to kind of get into it. But back then, and I'm dating myself here, and that's okay. I'll go ahead and do that. But back then, you would pay
Yeah.
$50,000 for somebody to build a website for you. You had to pay big money for coders to come in and help you with all the tech stuff. I mean, it was a huge, huge deal. It wasn't as easy as it is to get started today. So I was already telling myself, I wish I had done this many years sooner, but I realized that I had a lot of roadblocks there that
Yeah.
weren't there when I started it, when I actually did go out there and start it.
Well, I totally agree with you. I think we all face the roadblocks, of course, the roadblocks of the mindset of we talked about, as well as roadblocks of making sure we have that right tribe to support us, because once you leave that corporate world, you're leaving your corporate family behind. And now you have to create your entrepreneur world family. And sometimes it's meaning you're leaving some of those, the comfort zone behind, which I though I'm still working in the corporate world, I have started pivoting more into who is my corporate, even though I have thousands of you amazing women behind me because of the podcast, I've still also gained more trying to surround myself to make sure I have that same type of system that I had in the corporate world over here in the entrepreneur world. So I say that because I want women to understand because isolation is very easy for us over in the entrepreneur world. It's very easy to do. So one way I'm doing is, and I teach my clients and talk to my clients about, is make sure you have gotten another your entrepreneur world family, just as you had in the corporate world. That way you can call everybody. Like I know I can call any thousands of you ladies and be like, hey, I need this, or this is how I feel. And everybody's like, okay, we hear what you're saying. Okay, now pull yourself together and pick it up and move on. So I always recommend that as well, to get your tribe and have a strong tribe behind you, because you're going to need it. Because entrepreneur world is a lonely world. And that's true to be told. It's a very lonely world out here. So with that being said, now that we've talked about leaving the corporate world, and now there's those such as myself and other small entrepreneur, small business owners, what is one of the downfalls, one of the pitfalls that you have seen us make in the marketing industry? And I know we made a lot. I know.
Okay, so can I bring up two things, if I may? So I think when you're just getting started out, the one of the things that you need to focus on the most, and if you're working one-on-one with clients or doing some type of service-based work with clients, I think that is the best way to get started, because this helps you get over this so quickly. But that's really understanding your ideal customer and knowing them inside and out, and knowing their pain points, headaches and their migraines and what they struggle with. And obviously we can go out there and we can do these, people call them ICA calls, or basically it's just interviewing people, and you can learn some information that way. I definitely agree with that, but there is nothing out there that compares, if you would, to actually rolling up your sleeves and working directly with your clients, with your ideal customers, because you're going to learn so much more about them. The other thing that I would say that is extremely important for people who are just getting started is absolutely right away start building your email list. Okay, have a lead magnet, some type of free gift that you can offer folks that will help them, give them a quick win, but start building that email list as soon as possible. Don't rely on your social media accounts. Don't rely on Facebook. Don't rely on Instagram. The algorithms change all the time. We're seeing, changes in there every single day. Even with the algorithms on Instagram, they're not near as what they were even a few months ago. We're seeing differences there. But that email list is going to be somebody that you can always, nurture, upsell, sell an online course or membership in the future, promote your services. So even for service providers, start building your email list as soon as possible. If you're doing freelance work, start building your email list as soon as possible. You will thank me 2 and 3 years down the road.
And you're right, because remember, we were just talking about the algorithms changing here. I was telling I had an aha moment. And okay, my aha moment comes at the weirdest times. And then I was just like thinking, I'm like, hey, so she is so right. The algorithms change, especially, Facebook is growing leaps and bounds, and things are happening with Facebook that is crazy. So, that's changing the algorithms as well. So I'm glad you say, go out and for an email list. I know a lot of people, women, are hesitant on it, and I don't understand that, because, like you said, what happens? And I always say, what happens if Facebook shuts down? What are you going to do?
Yeah,
and it happens. So always be prepared and learn how to pivot. I know it's hard. Trust me. I did it many times on here, thinking, oh, Facebook isn't going to fail me, and lo and behold, when I'm like, sure. Something has happened because I wasn't prepared. So here's one tip, and I'm glad you talk about one way to do it, because you're right. So many small business owners, even the seasoned ones, sometimes are not even on to the marketing, or not doing growing their email like they should. But I'm working on it. But I am one that I totally agree with you, to not rely on social media and rely on yourself as well. So with that being said, what else do you have to share with someone who's just now starting out?
So if you're thinking about starting out, one of the things that I would put a basic, or start out with a basic website. And the reason why I like that is you can start building and posting articles on it, start, showcasing your expertise. So let's just say you want to help people, I'll throw something out there. Let's just say you want to help people with their careers and grow, moving up the corporate ladder. Let's just say you're really good at mentorship and you can do that. You can put some articles on your website, that are most likely going to drive traffic to your website years and years down the road. I have blog post articles on my website that is generating as much traffic as they did several years back. And what that has done for me is now the majority of the traffic that I have coming into my website is just from a simple Google search. Now, this did not happen overnight. Some of the stuff I did when I first started my business, and it has taken over time for my website to grow and build up that traffic. But it was all the work that I did 3 and 4 years ago that has got me to this point today. So it's not a short-term type strategy, but you want that content on your website because you want Google to know how people can find you, so that when they go in and say, I want a career coach, they can type in that. They can start saying, oh, this person's a career coach, let's show them her. They might be interested in her. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You're not having to post blog posts every single day or even every single week, but you want to start posting them and start getting that information out there. So that would be one of the tips that I would have. And everybody can write pretty much, right? If you can't write, then outsource it to a Fiverr contact. I have a lady that is in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta too, and she is getting her PhD. I found her on Fiverr. She is a fantastic blog post writer, and I don't have to pay an arm and a leg for her. And every time I want to write a blog post, I'll outsource it to her. And she has absolutely been fantastic doing that. So I want to say I pay maybe, $80 for, a blog post. So it's not extremely expensive, and she is fantastic. So that is one way to get started and start building your expertise in the marketplace. But most importantly, you're building your own company, right? Facebook won't be able to take that away from you, right? Instagram won't be able to take that away from you. This is your company. You own it. And I will say that if all of the social media platforms went away today, it would not affect my business whatsoever.
Exactly.
Because I have done all of that. I have my website. I have my email list. I have my online course platform where all my courses and memberships are located. It's not reliant on a social media platform.
Yeah. You know what? I had to learn the hard way. I really did have to learn the hard way. I wanted to own what I own. I had to learn how to separate. And that was really a hard thing for me to learn, that I couldn't depend on anybody. And I had to go out and start building on my own. And I'm still doing it, but it takes time. And I'm glad you're saying that, because I don't want no one to think, oh, it's overnight. It's not overnight. Look, we both like,
no, it's not overnight.
It's not overnight, but know that if you take the time and you stay focused on the goal, the ultimate goal of building your business and where you want it to go, you'll get there. And I do too. I'm like you. I do hire out for my blogs to a Fiverr. I do. So I truly stand behind that too. Well, I can't believe we've been on here halfway through the show. It's time to go by fast. It's been fun. If someone would like to get in contact with you, Dr. Copp, where can they find you at?
Well, definitely my website would be the best place to find me. It's just myname.com. So destinycopp.com. And I'm sure you'll put that link up there for folks. The easiest way to find me, any free gifts that I have that I'm promoting in my business at that point in time, you will find on my website. I also have a podcast. So if people are interested in, at some point, offering an online course or teaching what they know, it's called the Course Creators MBA podcast. And we have some fantastic guests on the podcast. And they really just talk about how they have grown their business. So a lot of them started out as service providers and freelancers. And then eventually they added an online course or a membership to their portfolio. And they talk about how they have done that and the revenue that they're getting in from that, in their business.
That's so true. That's actually one of my podcasts I listen to every day. So so that's actually how we connected. I listened to your podcast. So I totally listen to the podcast, and I'm always listening trying to write down my notes. I'm like, okay, I just need to make an appointment with Dr. Copp. I'm creative in my life, but you guys have to check out her podcast. You can catch it on a lot of the large platforms. They're good. Especially those of you who are looking to find other ways of income streams. That is another way to build a course. And then guess what? You can set it on autopilot, and it can keep generating constant income while you're building your business over here. So I totally believe in that, as well as I would also believe in having the 7 streams of income.
Yes.
What way to do it is create that course. Let it run while you build up the other. So I totally. So I definitely will be in touch with you, because I'm trying to work out these branches of my trees. Definitely. With those of you who are watching us, I see you out there. Drop it in the feed. What is your win for this week? You'll get to hear our win, but we want to hear yours. I love celebrating you. And remember, today's show is all sponsored by the Vision Made magazine. Vision Made magazine is an empowerment quarterly magazine for women to empower women and inspire women to go after their what's next, whatever it may be. And it's a spinoff actually of the podcast of What's Next for Women podcast. So if you're interested in getting a copy of Vision Made magazine, drop it in the feed. Also, too, if you're interested in getting show notes, I know it's a lot. Listen, I'm gonna flip my paper. I flip my paper so many times. I'm better off just getting a copy of the notes, then I can highlight them. If you'd like a copy of tonight's show notes, drop your email below or DM me, and I definitely will get them to you. Dr. Copp also has free gifts. I will drop it in the website. So you drop her website in there, you can grab her free gifts. Okay, I think that's it. So, Dr. Copp, so let me ask you, do you have a quote that you live by? And if so, what is, or would you like to share one?
That's a good question. So in my office here, I do have a quote. It says, I'm going to read it. I'm looking at it right now. Don't worry about failures. Worry about the chances you miss if you don't even try. And this is kind of what I put it on my wall when I first started my business because I was worried about failure, right? Everybody does. So anyway, that is my quote. Don't worry about failures. Worry about the chances you miss if you don't even try.
I like it because you're right. We're always worried about failure. And that's what really held me back for a couple years was failure. So I love that one. So I do too I have a quote too. Mine is the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any.
I love that.
We always try to give our power to everybody else.
Yeah.
We need to own it and absorb our power. So with that being said, at some point in the show, I always talk about book on the shelf. And the book on the shelf is all about what books we are reading, because I believe in empowering us. In order for us to expand and grow and take ourselves and our business to the next level, we have to expand our mind. And so I always ask my guests, so what book are you reading, if you're reading any?
I did not prepare for this, so I just want to know. So I am reading one because I've just launched a membership, and it's walking us through how do you make them sticky? Like how do you kind of work through customer churn, right? Because membership models, right, have been around for many, many years, going back to, the dark ages, really. And here's the thing, I don't remember who the author is. Isn't that awful?
No, that's
if people want to know, they can DM me on Instagram. I'll be more than happy to look it up and send it to them. But it is a fascinating book, especially if you're wanting to put together a subscription type model business.
So I am reading the badass, excuse my language, badass on money, because I want to be, so many blockage. I want to remove all blockage. And I've read this book twice. And now this is my third time around because I want to remove that energy of money, overflow of money to come in. And I want to make sure I remove all negativity and everything. I know you guys have heard me say that, but it's true. I do believe in the universe. What you put out in the universe, you get back. So one thing is making sure I've blocked all the blockage from the money not flowing in, but also I'm still doing physical things. So please understand that. But also I'm working with the mindset and understand how the money works and how it flows. So that is what I'm reading, which I really love the author of. So with that being said, what do you do for you're a busy woman. You're a really, really busy woman. What do you do for self-care for yourself?
So I play tennis. I love tennis. We play a lot around here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I try to work out at least 5 days a week, whether that's walking. So I walk for like an hour and 15 minutes today. We also swim. We have a pool here at our house. So I try to swim quite a bit, in the summertime when it's warm. And that's just exercise is really my self-care.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Funny enough, I have I did tennis. I've been really wanting to do tennis. So I now have a coach that teaches me how to play tennis. Though it's just because I was never athletic, never knew how. I don't understand the rules and regulations. So now I have someone who is teaching me that. And then the next one will be golf. But first I told him, let's first conquer the tennis. But I really love it. I have it, my racket, and I try to even go out on my off time and practice it too. I do love tennis.
I will just forewarn you, it's extremely addicting.
I listen. I have my grandkids out now,
Yeah.
and my grandkids is 3 and 5, and so I'm having them out there. I bought them a racket, and so they're out there trying to do with me too. But it is. I so agree with you. So agree. Well, before we wrap this up, I want to thank you. This has been fun. I hope you'll come back again. We have to have you come back. This has been fun. Time has gone by so fast, and I'm like, wow, time is really, we're already over that time. I can't believe it. Before we close out the show, if you have one thing to say to our listeners, what would you tell them?
I would say that if you are in your 9 to 5 and you really, really want to make the jump to online entrepreneurship, I would say, start planning today, start figuring out what services you might want to start with, just build a very basic landing page website. You can even use something like Milkshake, right? Where just use something like that. Just get started, start doing it on the side, test it out, see how you like it, and then just see where it takes you. So don't feel like you have to quit your 9 to 5, tomorrow, but just get started and start doing it. And then you never know where it's going to take you. 5 years down the road, you might say, this is absolutely, I wish I'd done it sooner. That's kind of where I was. So I just want to go ahead and put that out there. I wish I had actually got started in office security about 20 years before I did.
I'm with you. I so agree with you there. And then last question before we shut this down. What is your win for today? What is your win for the week? Excuse me, not for today.
So this is a great question. So I am launching or hosting, I should say, a virtual summit in September. And I've been working 3 months, no lie, on this virtual summit. I have 35 speakers in it. And this week, it is almost done. Like, I'm going to start promoting it. People can start registering it this Friday. So today I really started kind of putting the final bows on everything, if you would. I got a couple of loose ends to tie up tomorrow, but I'm happy to say it is ready to go. That is my win.
That is awesome. Well, you definitely have to share it with me so I can share it with everybody, and so we can get everybody to there. So I definitely be watching out for that, or reaching out to you this weekend or next week so we can get that going. But I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. That is awesome. That is awesome.
Well, I always forget about how much work they are until I do one.
I
was like, this is a lot of work.
Well, congratulations. And that's so amazing. I have to say my win for today is still having another amazing co-host as yourself. You guys bring it. Every time I ask you guys to come on and we talk, you guys are just like rocking it. So I'm so blessed and so honored for you to have been on my show. And that's my win for this week. And I want to thank you. But before we shut this down, as I said, where can everybody find you at again?
It's my website, which is destinycopp.com. Just spell out my name, destinycopp.com, and you can find me there.
Great. Well, MissDestiny.com. Thank you, Dr. Copp, for joining me. This again was such amazing. But everybody, I wanted to first and foremost thank you for joining us and then taking the time and just sitting here with I hope you got some nuggets. I did. My paper has flipped around many times. If you have any questions during this time, you still can ask them. I will definitely get them to Dr. Copp. I definitely will. And I'll always pass them around. And I want you to understand that, that we only have one life to live. You
Yes.
need to live it to the best of to your best of ability and to your fullest, and live it for you and nobody else. Because I've seen people doing, well, I'm doing it for this person, I'm doing it for that person. Do it for yourself, and then also know if no one has not told you today, you guys rock and you're amazing. And I want you to understand that don't let anything stop you. I know it's hard. I know things can be challenging, but you got this. And if you need support, you have thousands of women like us here at the podcast. So know that you can do it, and we're here to support you. Until next week, when I bring on another amazing co-host, as I have here today, know that and know take care of yourself. You know what, you guys? Can you please mask up until we figure all this out, or take care of yourself so we can figure all this COVID things out, and so we can move forward. But until next week, you guys, thank you for your time. I appreciate you, and until then, next week. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much, Pamela.